Hey everyone. First, I just wanted to apologize just for um, missing the first forum. I am planning to respond to it tonight, and I totally understand that you probably will not get to my comments. But I just wanted to apologize for my absence and um, just been a very full life. But yeah, Benner. So this has been a really interesting text. I got a lot out of it. My background is in counseling for sex addicts in group settings. So a lot of it really impassioned me for how to counsel better. Um, One of the ways that Benner really challenged me was because my counseling is for profit, and it is a business as much as it is a ministry. And I can tell you more about that on the side. But one of the things that really surprised me and took me off guard was the concept of setting a number of sessions, plus or minus, um, 4 or 5. He definitely sets it hard at 5, but even gives room that there could be effectiveness to even having 3 or 4. Um, and so I think what was really helpful with that was him differentiating, something like spiritual direction or pastoral care from pastoral counsel, strategic pastoral counsel. Um, so I found it really helpful just that he seemed very confident. He didn't back down from that 5. Um, and yeah, so it really challenged me as someone who, even in a group setting, counsels men for years. So to view, you know, okay, what is my effectiveness, after 5, and how could I be more effective in the first 5? Um, as far as incorporating Benner's model, um, just in a church setting, absolutely. I think one of the things I've been really frustrated with, hence my not getting to the Nowen forum, is just the inability to carry such a caseload or a clientele load um, among friends and people in the neighborhood who are hurting. And I think my tendency has been what Benner warned against, which is to cave when people want to meet more, um, to set far too regular a meeting time. You know, Whereas Benner, suggests putting um, increasingly wider margins in between your meetings, um, and also just taking on too many. Although Benner doesn't really give a ton of advice on that, as far as he just acknowledges that pastors take on more than an average counselor does in a month, and they do that in a week. So I can see myself incorporating it. I think the things that I have trouble and still question about Benner's model is how he sees the um, assessment, the spiritual assessment, as a part of the first and second session. Um, I get that intuitively as far as how to make my best judgment about where they are with the Lord. But his seemed a much more thorough assessment, and I'm not sure I can envision incorporating that in my average counseling of another friend or a parishioner. As far as weaknesses, I would say that I think the rigidity of the 5 sessions, um, it has to, and he does note at the end about disengagement, how if a person comes into crisis at the end of your meetings, that is appropriate to have that be the one exception to going on to a 6th or more sessions, but he even says, very carefully to disengage as soon as it's appropriate to do so when that crisis ends and that person is stabilized. I think that rigidity, all I would say is that noting it as an afterthought that is an exception, that a crisis continues. What I would say is that rather than have it be an afterthought that someone might need more care only if there's a crisis, a new crisis in their life, I think it would have been better if Benner had spent more time saying, well, yes, that is an exception if a new care comes along, a new crisis in their life that you need to care for. But I would have rather him say, look, here's your 5 sessions. You might need a 5th, 6th, and a 7th if a new crisis exists. But then if you go through 5 sessions and it is obviously outside your control, and you realize that these problems are much deeper than you have the ability to care for, how to transition someone, and just to put those conversations alongside each other of referral and disengagement, I think would have been helpful. And he does, I guess I found it a little bit confusing, because he does talk about referral toward the end of the book, in the 3rd chapter, I believe. So anyway, I really enjoyed Benner. I don't mean to poo-poo it. I thought he was really insightful. I definitely will use the structured, the kind of strategic side of things, even though I lean more towards spiritual director. I'm really looking forward to challenging myself to be a much more structured pastoral counselor. So yeah, I appreciated Benner. I thought it was a wonderful resource. I'm definitely going to keep it. I am well noted up in this book, and I really enjoyed it. So, okay, cheers. Have a good night.